Hello, everyone. We are studiofizbin, and we're coming at you today with our second live stream for Reignbreaker. Say hello if you're in the chat. Hi, Gemma from Thunderful. Thanks again for moderating. Hi, Rosanna. Hi, Tepish. Hi, Star Enchanter. Nice to see you all. So, if you were here last week, you saw us give a general overview of the game. This week, we want to do a little deeper dive into combat because this is an action roguelike. Combat is a huge part of the game. So I have with me today two of my colleagues. First of all, we have Nadi.
Hi, I'm Nadi. I'm a 2D artist at Studio Fizbin.
And we have Ollie.
Hello, I'm Oliver. I am a game designer at Studio Fizbin.
Awesome. And as you might know, I am Ian, the community manager at Studio Fizbin. And I am the lucky one who is going to be playing the game today. Hi, Maria. Glad to see you in the chat too. Thanks for coming. Yeah, without further ado, let's just go right into the game. So, boom. Here we are, in front of the door.
Honestly, I'm glad that I don't have to play. I can just watch you because I would be so nervous to fail.
Well,
but you do great, Ian, for sure.
Thank you. You know, I'm definitely not as skilled as some of my colleagues here. Like Ollie, I think you could beat me any day.
No.
You don't think? I mean, you did a lot in terms of designing the combat, so you're kind of an expert, I would assume.
I do know that, and I know a bunch about the enemies and the player and all of that. But there's also this. There's a bit of a cliche that developers are not good at their own games.
Really?
Or at least not that good. Kinda. At least that's what I heard a bunch. And if I look at myself playing it, I think that might be true. I'm not very good at the game.
I saw you playing, Ollie. You're really underestimating your skills at this point.
I wasn't the first person in the team to beat the game. So there are people who are better than me.
Yeah. Hi, Beldre. Thanks for joining again. Thanks for playing the demo. By the way, for anyone just tuning in, we have a demo now, as you can see down on the bottom there. So if this game looks cool to you, you can play a demo totally for free. And it's great. You can play quite a bit of the game. And if you beat the demo, then you get a handy little statue. At some point, I'm going to share that on social media. But it's a cute little thing that you can get for your lobby, this area right here. It sort of lives here, right, Nadi? Or Ollie, do you remember where that statue lives?
Around right there.
Around here.
Right there.
Hi, Exoclaw. The demo is sick. Been fun to have played Say No More and see I'll do this. Yes, thank you. I remember you had a really funny Say No More clip that went viral on TikTok. So thanks for checking out Reignbreaker. We appreciate it. So I want to give a quick overview of my weapons that I'm planning to bring into this run. So last time we stopped at the first major boss, which is the Chimera, and my goal today is to beat this guy. And I am not super confident in my ability to beat this on my own, which is why I'm very excited to have the guidance of my colleagues here to help me understand what every move is. Initially, I'm going to sort of go with one of the javelins that I was using at the end of last game, which is this pea shooter that adds rust, which is a small damage over time thing. You can see the ticking damage happen. It stacks up, and because of that, it pairs really well with the pea shooter, which shoots a bunch of bullets, so you instantly get a stack of 5, which I guess is the max stack. And then, also with me, I have the railgun, which we didn't show off last time, and I want to talk about that a little. Ollie, can you say a little bit about the railgun?
Yeah, the railgun is one of the weapons that you will unlock after playing a few runs, and it is a very good companion to the pea shooter because it can do a lot of damage with like single big sweeping strikes if you have the
so this
strike
guy
equipped. Yeah, this guy exactly. That one is really good for clearing big areas, which is something the pea shooter is not that good at.
Right.
But you also have a very powerful throw that does like one big laser hit.
Yeah, so let's look at
and
that.
another target. Forward.
Oops.
Try aiming at the far ahead dummy in the background.
Ah, yes.
Over that island.
Over the island,
Yes.
and then there you go.
Yeah,
and
so you
it
can
hits
see it
everything that's
ricochets.
on the line.
Oh, it
Yeah,
does?
it
So if there's
ricochets.
something in the way, it also goes to it hits the other one?
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Absolutely. It'll go through. So if you can line up a bunch of enemies, then well, everything that's on the path will take some damage.
Let's see what I can do. I'm trying to punch these guys into a cluster, sort of.
Yeah. Absolutely easy to reproduce when they're actually attacking you.
Oh yeah, so both of these
see-
guys got damage.
Honestly, I wish we could push them off that cliff. It's always so fun to push these dummies around. And I would be so happy if I could just push them off.
Yeah, and then a new one falls. I mean, that would be very satisfying.
Out of nowhere.
Hello, Tohu Wabohus. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Welcome to the chat. And then, yeah, the other moves we have, as you've seen, are this big sweeping thing, which is great for like clearing out a group of enemies. And then we also have, oh crap, I'm overheated. Then we also have the slam, which is really cool.
Yes, it's this big barrage of lasers that comes from the ceiling, and it's really good for like trapping a bunch of smaller enemies into an area and dealing a bunch of damage over time.
Yeah, I really
So
like
I
that.
think with the railgun, yeah, that's great. I think with the railgun and the pea shooter, you have a good combination of two two main types of weapons with you.
One other thing I want to point out is that I have the upgrade that allows you, of course, to take 2 javelins into combat, which is why I'm able to equip 2 javelins. But one thing that's really cool about this upgrade, and these are one of the permanent upgrades that you can equip after, you know, defeating a certain number of runs, getting this resolve currency. Now I can switch to reduce heat. This effect has a 3-second cooldown, so I will get 20 heat reduction every time I swap javelins with a 3-second cooldown. So you can see the heat is this yellow bar that's right under health. So right now it's filling up, and then if I switch, boom, it's reduced by quite a lot. So that kind of encourages you to take 2 javelins in and constantly swap between them, because you'll get a little more bang for your buck.
Absolutely. And that'll help you sort of stay in combat for a while longer. So switching is always a good idea. It should be very easy to just switch weapons while doing all sorts of stuff. And it's time to go into the Bastion and just start a run like nothing bad would ever happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And let's just
Ian,
let's
I'm
just
kind
go
of
through
sad that you left so early, because I wanted to visit Baby Belgrade for once. You can't just run around the base without at least saying hi once. So I hope you die. I'm sorry, but we have to go back.
Well, I'm going back already.
Say hello to him. Nice.
Hi, Baby Belgrent. I know I almost forgot to give you a fist bump.
He's so happy. He's just snuggled up in the cozy rugs and pillows all the time, living his best life and eating soup by Evangeline. Maybe we should say hi.
Yes, I also want to say hi to Evangeline.
You know that more than anyone. Oh no.
Failure
I think I
isn't
lost a
an
tooth back
option.
there.
So, Nadi, you did, among other things, a lot of these character illustrations that we see when we're in dialogue, as well as some of the item screens. Can you talk about how you approached that character design?
Oh yeah, there's quite a lot to talk about it. I have to say that I joined the project when a lot of the world building was already fleshed out. So that made things for me quite more easy to design the characters, because there was such a big base of narrative content already to build up from. But yeah, but it was also so fun, because adding this character really made it feel alive at this point. And one thing you have to keep in mind when designing characters in general is for me that you want to show and communicate things that aren't said. Like players should have an image in their head about what the character is about without it even like having said anything yet. So the narrative obviously should complement this, but for me, an ideal character design speaks a lot for itself. So I tried to incorporate a lot of narrative hints in these portraits. And because obviously we have a very interesting style and theme mix in Reignbreaker, right? Because we have like punk elements and medieval elements and some tech elements. And this should kind of be reflected in these characters as well and make them believable. So we try to design, for example, costumes with a twist. Clef, for example, she has a very punky outfit, right? Our main character. But, and I would say she actually has like the most punk elements in her character design compared to all other characters. But I feel like this is very intentional because she is like the rebel, the main character in our game. So I feel it makes sense that she has this punky, tough attitude towards her. And Evangeline, for example, the character that we just met, they are like the support for Clef, like the emotional support whenever Clef gets beaten down and needs some backup. Evangeline is there to help her. And but what we wanted to try avoiding stereotypes like in the character designs, especially like gender stereotypes, and with focus on a pretty diverse cast. So Evangeline, despite them being very like friendly, and she's like the cozy backdoor in Reignbreaker because they are always in this lot.
Like a backdoor into cozy gaming, you mean?
Yes, and they're like constantly giving out soup. Whenever you talk to them, they have soup for you, and this is so fun. But on the other hand, they are still like a very buff character, right? They aren't fragile. They have this godparent attitude, but they still look like they can beat you up too. And I think this is very interesting for Evangeline, especially. Maybe when you meet some of the other characters, we can talk about these two in that situation.
Yeah, that's a really good overview. Do you have like, I mean, I guess this is like choosing your favorite children, but is there a character design that you are happiest with, or maybe not happiest with, but that is your favorite?
Oh yeah, my favorite character is Ardir, the Spare Sister.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you have encountered her in the last stream, probably, right?
Yes, but not yet today.
Have you talked about what's her background story yet?
No, not much. So do you want to talk about that a bit?
Sure. Ardir is a very interesting character because she has a very like ambivalent relationship with Clef, because they actually grew up together, like fighting in the Queen's army. And obviously we now know that Clef became a rebel because she was rescued by rebels as a child. So meeting Ardir again really shows that they have a very complicated relationship because they love each other as family kinda, but they're on totally different sides now. And Ardir, especially in the beginning, is really like very loyal to the Queen, and Clef doesn't get that at all. So for Ardir's design, it was important that she has, like in her pose, for example, you can see that she has a very tight, upright position because she has this military background and she has this kind of proudness to her. Also, she is everywhere on her armor. There's like military badges, and she has a very neat braid and stuff like that. And I think she's a really interesting contrast to Clef. So yeah, I really like her. I feel like she's. I really would like to have a chat with her about love.
Okay,
That's really good.
What were you gonna say?
Go ahead. I was just gonna say that Ardir is also my favorite.
Yeah. Oh really? I didn't know.
Yeah. And all the complex background stuff that you mentioned is like definitely helping. But I also just like a cool rival character, and maybe I'm just simple like that, and that's enough.
Okay. So
Yeah, one thing. Hmm?
what do you think I should grab here? Restore health, punches
Okay.
and
Ollie,
bleed.
you must
I
decide.
I do have an opinion on that, and
Okay.
if you watch the stream back, you can see that I reacted very heavily when you picked the
Oh.
first item.
Oh.
Because, yeah, okay. So I'll go into tea leaves a bit, which is the bottom on the bottom. So what this does is it increases your maximum health each time you find one of the healing fountains
Right.
that you find in the safe rooms, and you had the chance to get that on the first one. And of course, that's super good because
Yeah.
you pick the item once, and with every single one that's coming up,
True.
your max health increases.
But I still haven't gone
Now
to
you
a
have
fountain yet, so this would still be a good time to get it, right?
True.
Okay.
Totally.
So you think I should grab the tea leaves?
I think you should grab the tea leaves.
Okay,
They're
let's
really
grab
good.
the tea leaves. Yeah, I could always use a bit more health because, yeah, I'm still trying to get used to this combination because I'm trying to do a little bit more switching between the pea shooter and this guy, but I don't know. It's a little tricky, and I don't have a lot of offensive abilities right now, except for this this execution
For the
thingy.
blood bullet
Yeah.
thingies.
This
But
is
And that was really
honestly,
good.
when you asked us for what our favorite javelins are, the first thing that came to my mind was actually the railgun, because I love the feeling of these like thunder-esque special effects draining down on the whole screen. It gives you like this mighty, like,
Yes.
oh, really having an impact here. And there's this one modified version of the railgun, which is called Reignmaker, which I just love. Whoever came up with this, I love it. It's Reignmaker, and I played a Reignbreaker. Oh, sorry, I won't explain the joke. That's not cool. But
No, I don't get it. Can you explain?
okay, so because rain and
Oh. Actually, I think we didn't run into Trench Rat last time, or maybe we
that's
did,
true.
because this isn't their first dialogue. But anyway, this is another character that you drew.
Oh,
Yes,
I ate all
the
the
trench
vegetables when I was
rat
your age.
is actually a very
Broccoli,
fun
sprouts,
character
cabbage.
because they're representing a group of kids who call themselves trench rats who are living
What you got
hidden
for me?
in the Bastion because the Queen's security system can't pick them up for some reason because they're too small. So they just live there hidden and help travelers like Clef basically out. But because they need to survive, they will always require your key money, so they don't just do it
Yes.
for free. But they're fun to design too because as kids, we didn't want to give the player the feeling that they're weak, right? So they should look young but still cheeky and capable because they're surviving out there. But they also have like these makeshift clothes with patches, so you can imagine them that they probably have to stitch up their own clothes and fix them or make their own clothes. They also have, because they're still children, they also have like this playful
I'm not touching me.
design with like the red hat and the funky shoes. So I think they're fun because they have they're strong, but they're still the kids, and I love it when Clef interacts with them because I feel like Clef really feels these children because she had like a hard childhood as well. So I think Clef wants the best for them, and that is really sweet. What's your
Very nice.
favorite character, Ian?
I do really like Ardea.
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like Ardea is going to be a fan favorite again, just like the rival characters are always so good. But I also really like Evangeline. I think they have just like a nice grounding presence, and I really like their design and their voice acting. So yeah. Okay. So this one is uncommon.
The Vandals.
The
These are
Vandals.
actually my favorite skills. Like the Vandal skills
Yeah.
are fun. I really like them.
I think I could do a little more damage.
Yeah, Rampage is great.
Uh,
Because what that one does is it just said that on the stream, but I'll just repeat what it said.
Yeah.
So each time your combo level goes up, you will do a bit more damage in general for each level.
Oh, per
Um,
combo level. Yeah, that's really good.
per combo level.
I,
So 7 per level.
I just wanted to acknowledge this comment from Exilclaw. I know Thunderful dropped another demo for roguelike Eternal Die, which has been pretty cool. Did we get a chance to talk to that team and talk roguelike shop? Been interesting to see the different approaches when playing both so close together. We didn't have a lot of interaction with them as far as I know. One of you can correct me, but yeah, it's cool that we have two takes on roguelikes coming out around the same time. Some also thematic similarities, but yeah, maybe Gemma, you can also talk more about that as the Thunderful community manager in our chat right now. But I would love to, they also just released a demo. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but I would really like to and see how that is and their take on the genre. Have you guys played it yet, Nadia and Ollie?
No,
I've had a chance.
but I
I've had
played
a-
our demo yesterday after work because
Nice.
it's so good.
I just wanted to say I did have a chance to play it. It's very fun. It's very cool.
Oh, cool.
So after you're done with the Reignbreaker demo, then you can go and check out Lost in Random: The Eternal Die, the demo for that. And yeah, like you said, Ian, we didn't have a chance to talk with them. At least I didn't. But I would have loved to. They're really they know what they're doing. It's good. Good game.
Ian apparently knows what he's doing too, because
Hmm.
you're kind of slashing it.
Am I? I feel like I'm
Absolutely.
kind of struggling.
You rust buckets less.
But maybe
you are.
I'm like overly self-critical. Ooh,
Yes, for sure.
legendary.
Ooh.
Oh,
Getting hit
yes.
causes
Yeah.
your javelin heat to be reset and you take less damage overall.
This is for people who get hit.
I do get
Maybe
hit.
it's for you. Yeah.
You do get everybody gets hit at some point.
I mean, I always have such mixed feelings in roguelikes about taking items where you get a benefit from getting hit, but at the same time, if it's reducing damage, I have that other item that's gonna increase my total health, so I don't need to be super worried about that. I'm just gonna keep going.
I can press
Absolutely, and I totally get what you mean of like, getting a benefit on getting hit. That's like you don't want to get to that point. But a positive extra bonus that the item has is that your defenses are also increased by 15%.
Yes,
right?
and now
So each
20%.
hit is not as bad, and now 20. There you go, and like 20% defense increase is
That's pretty
pretty
big,
good.
yeah.
That's pretty big.
Okay. Oh,
I
dang.
still struggle sometimes with like ways that have too many spike traps on them.
Me too.
Like it's so funny because I'm anticipating that behind these traps there will be like a health refill. So I go there, but then I lose like more health on the way than I get in return. This is just the lack of skill for me, I guess.
Yeah, those areas where you have to like avoid a few traps are really fun because when we designed them, I think for most designers it was really easy to avoid them. It's like, yeah, just smash over
Let's
them.
just do it.
Just do it. And we thought it wouldn't be much of a problem, but people really like if you play it for the first time and you don't really know
Yeah.
how to deal with it, of course, like it's pretty difficult actually.
But that
Um,
makes it more fun because then the
absolutely.
health gets more rewarding. Like the feeling is better if you kind of have to fight for it. Oh,
Overseer
Speaking of
Spitface.
Speaking of fun,
yes.
it's time for the
Speaking
duel.
of
Ah.
fight.
Now, last time you did that fight on the first try, and I owe you $5 for it.
Yes, that's right. We haven't
That is
forgotten.
right. I haven't forgotten. So I hope that you managed to do it first try again, because it would be really embarrassing if you didn't. But you should be able to. This is for the duo fight. Designing this was actually really interesting because we built the enemies for this, and we had the combat encounter set up, and I think like we were worried that it's a bit too tough, but it's actually not that tough. But what did happen was that because both enemies attack at the same time, very quickly it got very chaotic. And even if you could beat the fight, it wasn't that fun. So one of the changes we did for the fight was that they're a bit more coordinated with each other, and they actually, if one is attacking, then the other isn't gonna do like a really big attack next, right? You could actually see that down there, where the Spitface did like the stabbing thing, and the Beholder for a second didn't also start attacking you. So it's a bit more, if you can watch the tells of the enemies, then it's a bit easier to avoid everything now. So yeah, overall I think I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. And you did both at the same time. That's really good.
I feel like this was really good to have the railgun. Oh no, these guys.
There's the spike balls.
Yes,
Imagine dying to those. Then after the boss is done, it can happen.
Womp womp. Yeah, having the railgun was really good for that because of that ricochet effect. I could just throw it at one and it ricochets to the other.
Absolutely, and the heavy attack that it has, the strike, is really good to clearing out spike balls that are like running around you. So yeah, great combination. It's going good.
Yeah, we were talking about other roguelikes, and I wanted to ask, especially with regards to combat, what were some of the games that you took inspiration from when working on this game?
Right. So that's a very good question, and we do have a bunch of inspirations that are maybe not immediately obvious. So a big inspiration for the game was actually in fighting games and in character action games. So things like Street Fighter and Bayonetta and even a bit of Devil May Cry in there. You can see that with things like the combo meter that's on the side, which works a bit different in this game than in other character action games, but do have a similar mechanic. And this means that in the game you have a lot of timing-based attacks. So each enemy has very reliable and very clean times for the hitboxes and when the attacks happen, essentially. So over time you can start to see the tells and the clues in attacks and avoid them more easily. And that was very important to us. But of course, another part of the inspiration are more, let's say, more classic isometric action games. Like, of course, there's a bit of Hades in there, a bit of Diablo in there, maybe even with like stuff like the map, which we can even show.
Oh yeah.
So there are some like game inspirations we have, but of course we also had like a couple of reasons of why we picked those. So we really wanted to, when you play the game, it should feel like this very powerful, very snappy power fantasy of destroying this huge oppressive force, this huge authoritarian army. And yeah, we thought that something where you can feel powerful, where the game feels really good when you hit enemies, that's something that would really fit that, I guess. Does that make sense? I don't know, I'm just...
Totally.
It makes sense. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yes. Another thing that we could mention, you are right beside the bloodletter walls, right? And we can see that there are all these green graffitis around. I think down there's also the trapper who has like a mint color graffiti. And this is actually by design, where game design and the character design go like hand in hand, because we chose like one highlight color for each character so that you can like easily recognize which character you will encounter. So these graffitis are meant like to make you memorize the character. So if you look at the portraits, you will see that these graffiti colors are actually like picked up in the design as well. And because colors are mostly in character design like one of the things that people remember most, right? If you think of Yoshi, for example, people know he's green, and if you think of Super Mario, people know he's like red and blue, and that goes so far that if you only see these colors, you will immediately think of a character that you have in mind, because it's like so important, like it's so much in your head already, and this is what we want to achieve with like these signal colors that people really remember the characters and their way this happens. That's why I'm all happy when I see purple graffiti, because then I know that my girl Adir.
Ardea. Yeah, so I just got a couple of new items that I hope will work in concert a little bit. I now can add a bleed effect onto enemies by punching them. And
That's pretty good.
And then I got one other thing that complements it. Is that bleeding enemies deal less damage and bleed duration is increased by 50%. So
that's
again,
really good.
Yeah. So this is another example of when you keep going to the same loyalist vault again and again, you will often find items that get you deeper into a certain play style and can further strengthen things that you've already gotten and find synergies that way.
Oh yeah, you
Absolutely.
really went down the blood ladder build here, right?
Yeah, you have a
chose
bunch
lot
of them.
Yes.
green
Ooh,
skills.
even more health reduction or even more damage.
That's the
Good.
eternal question, isn't it?
Do a little more damage.
I think some of these skill illustrations, they are so cool. They would go great as tattoo designs. They have like this medieval illustration style, but then of course motifs that are not true to history, but just fun exaggerations of action. It's a very nice mix. I would like to have a tattoo
That would be a
of a
sick tattoo.
skill. Maybe the snake that cuts, that's so cool.
Snake that cuts is really cool. I think we should all get the frog tattoo.
The frog, there's this
Yes,
one
the little
blood letter
prick frog.
one. Yeah, the frog is the best.
I think that's quickly become a fan favorite. Love it.
Somebody
yeah.
asked about will the environments have different biomes? And while we won't have different biomes per se, I was wondering if one of you could talk about the ways that the levels will change as you progress through the game.
Absolutely. So as you progress through the game, the environments that you're in, they are all handcrafted. So what you're seeing right now, except for the enemies that spawn in and for the trap layouts and the graffiti on the ground, nothing is procedural. It's all a little handcrafted environment, because we really wanted to create environments that are as good as they could possibly be, where it's like there's a handcrafted human charm to it, essentially. But over time, little sections can appear or disappear in different ones. So if you enter a room, like the one that Ian is in right now, it might not look exactly the same when you enter it the next time. There might be certain sections that are not there, and new sections can appear at different places. And as you progress, as you defeat more bosses, as you do more runs, you will get a few more rooms attached each time. So they get a bit bigger, and there's a few more things to find and explore, essentially. So that's like the major way that it shifts over time.
Yeah.
Is there anything I forgot?
And no, that's a good overview. I just want to highlight, this is one of my favorite items. Punches have 75% increased range, deal more damage, and inflict coat, which coat, as you can see on the right there with our keywords, coated enemies raise the combo level 50% faster when attacked. I already have a weapon that's going to increase my damage based on combo level, so this is really synergistic. And thank you, Star Enchanter, for saying you just got back from the demo. It's amazing. How long have you been working on this? Does one of you want to talk about that?
A long time. I think... Oh, is this embarrassing to mention? I think none of us have been here since the very start.
Oh, that's true.
So,
Who's been here the longest? Maybe you, Ollie.
yes,
Right? You started before me.
Yes, I've been here for almost 2 years on the dot. I started on March 1st. Is that something I can say publicly? Sure. Yeah, I started on March 1st 2 years ago, so I'm almost at my 2-year Fizbin anniversary.
Oh, happy
And,
anniversary.
Nice.
Yeah, and the game has definitely come an incredible like far way since then. But when I started, we already had a game to play, so it's already been in development at that point. I think Pepe said that it's been about like 3 years at this point.
Yeah, I
so
think it has been 3 years.
Yeah.
yeah. So the demo has been, maybe not the demo just, but the game has been in development for 3 years now.
Only recently, one of our colleagues showed us, because as you just heard, some of us hadn't been there from the start. He showed us a comparison between the first image of the game of how it could look like in the pitch and the final result. And it's crazy how similar the result is to the actual vision. Because,
Yeah.
sometimes, very often, you have the case during development, a lot of things change, and that's okay and that's fine. But I feel like in the case of Reignbreaker, the vision was really pulled through whole of production, which I found extremely interesting to see, as a person who joined later.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I will bring that, because the next stream is going to be a little more art focused, so I think I should definitely bring that and show exactly what you mean, Nadi.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to, since you picked up the punch and paint item, which gives you more range and the more damage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is one of your favorites.
Yes.
Very good here, because it was a bit of an effort. But I think that item is a good way to show that there's a sort of that we put a big focus on things like attack ranges, and that damage isn't damage numbers are not the only important thing when you're playing the game. Things like how much maneuverability do you have when doing your attacks, how much range do you have, how long is the animation for it, and when can you cancel out of it. Those are all elements that are really important to us, and that really help you over time to sort of get better at the combat and to have a better chance at winning. So that's also a big part of the inspiration, or the big influence from Street Fighter and character action games.
Yeah.
Where damage is of course very important and you need it to win your battles, but it's not the only important thing. And we also wanted to reflect that in the items that we built. The point I wanted to get to.
Yeah. So a couple of things here. One, I'm in the final boss room. This will be the Chimera, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I wanted to also, before we go into that, answer a couple of questions. So Beldraith, you asked, what does combo level exactly do? Or is it only there to synergize with skills you pick up? It does have a base effect, which is that it increases the number of keys that you pick up. Is that right, Ollie?
Yes.
So keys are the currency, the temporary currency that gets reset with every run. And the higher your combat level, then the faster you're going to collect those keys, so that's helpful. But then, and that's the only effect it has, right? Just without any upgrades?
Yeah, pretty much. It gives you more keys for each combo level, and that means that as you break an enemy, they drop a bunch of keys. You can see a big effect coming, and it'll be more keys the higher your combo level is. So, like you mentioned, it'll help you get some items, some shop items later on. And then the rest of it, the rest of it is a lot of items that synergize with it.
Yeah.
Items that will say something like, oh hey, if you're at this combo level, then this cool thing happens. Or it's easier to stay on that combo level.
Yes, so I'll show the ones that I have. So these are both Vandal items too, and Vandals are usually very good at doing synergies that have to do with combo level. So this one is just, as we pointed out earlier, a base damage increase for every level of combo level. And then the Punch and Paint, which we were just talking about, puts coat on enemies, and that increases the combo level when attacking enemies by 50%. And so you can get other things that add coat. That was actually one thing that I had last time. I had a bunch of different abilities that were putting coat onto enemies. I had puddles on the floor that were coating enemies too, and so I was just getting combo level like crazy, and doing a lot of extra damage that way. And I also wanted to answer Exilclaw, will this dev stream be posted to Fizbin's YouTube channel? Yes, I think so. I will post about that when we do. Okay, and then Maria, I see you also asked about what was your favorite thing, but let's put a hold on that for a second because we're about to fight the boss and I'm gonna need to focus on this. So, as I was saying at the beginning, I don't know if I'm super great at fighting the Chimera, and there have been, some balancing changes in the last few months as we're, finalizing the game, doing the quality assurance and all that. So there might be some things that I'm not familiar with either. So I think my first goal is just going to be making sure that I can understand its attacks and telegraphing.
That's a really good idea. Especially because, like I mentioned before, this telegraphing was really important to us. So there you go.
Okay.
But in the animations as well. I think you're having a good time, but do you have a shop item that reduces the damage you take?
Yes, I got a flimsy kite
that's-
shield. Ooh. So I'm bad at
that's
that
good.
one. So maybe I'm just not doing the timing right.
Right. With that one, you really have to wait, or just do either you do 2 dashes in a row. That should help you.
Okay.
Or you have to really wait for it to be in front of you and then like dash through it. So that's a really helpful thing that you can do.
Okay, this one I
One I
understand.
Yes. Exactly, that one, it's like there's a big overhead and then there's a shotgun attack for a second. Now you lost your
My kite
your armor.
shield, yeah.
Yeah, now we just have to tough it out.
Oof.
Yeah, so that one, it's a tough one, but if you see the Chimera taking the maze sort of behind itself and start rushing at you, you can also dash through it. So you can dash to the side. That's doable. Or you can go right through it.
Oof.
I would. So because the maze is actually swinging from let me see there, from left to right, I wouldn't advise you to go the right way.
Okay.
Because going to the right means that it might catch you on the right when it does a swing. And you've already dashed there, then it might hit you at the end. So, sort of going along with that is or like going against the swing is a good idea.
Okay.
And now it switched phases, or like maybe not phases, but as you can see, sub phases. If you look at the model, you'll see that it's like a big wing that can rotate and has different arms attached to it. And one of the modes it can switch to is one where it starts using the gun that it's actually wielding in this phase, like a mace club. So those have different attacks, entirely different attacks and different patterns to learn. And I think honestly, the bullet phase is a lot tougher. But this one's also tough, so maybe it's just all tough. I don't know.
They are.
They're just all tough, but in different ways. But once you defeat the enemies in the shotgun phase, or the bullet, the ranged attack phase, well, that went away.
All right.
So I just wanted to say, once you defeat the enemies in the bullet phase, then it will switch back. But you have to be careful because over time it will also start shooting lightning from the top because the fight wasn't difficult enough. And it wasn't, enough stressful enough.
So that kicks in after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, a certain amount of damage dealt, and then a certain amount of time, and then it will start shooting lightning from the top. We actually added that after a while because we were playing the fight, and it's fun. But once you were able to figure out the patterns, it became, that as soon as you know what you're doing, you just do it over and over again, and we wanted to avoid that feeling of it being a slog. So over time, we added more and more effects to it, so that you're kept on your toes, right? And you have to learn a few new tricks as you do the fight.
So
yeah.
I am going to try to do better this time. So I have actually a lot of resolve, 1800.
Yes, at
and
least that.
I would like a little bit of advice as to what to choose to make sure that I win this time. I'm tempted to get the resurrection because that just seems generally useful. What do you think about that?
I always get personally. I always get like the dashes so
The
that you can dash
dashes.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like this is one of the first skills that I max out very early.
Yeah.
Because I like dashing. Just running away often helps me to survive more than going in. But this could be personal preference.
That's true. And
No,
I also wonder, should I try, because I do want this resurrection, but it means I have to give up one of the things that I already have. So I am wondering if I should get rid of dual javelins and
No,
just...
you have one or not?
Now you do have one more slot, that's true,
Yeah,
but
you
let's
have one more
assume you didn't have one more slot.
Well,
Oh.
I had dash and I removed it already.
Oh,
Oh,
see.
I didn't see. Sorry. Yeah,
But
well,
yeah, if you want Resurrect, you will have to give up one of those. So a bunch of these really change your playstyle a lot, right? Like Dual Javelin
Yeah.
and the Heavy Strike one. They add a lot to your moveset, actually. But it's absolutely valid to lose them. And if you're struggling with a boss and you realize, well, I'm not really switching javelins that much this fight, that maybe it's not the right thing to bring with you.
Yeah. I do want to go for survivability here.
yeah.
Mhm.
Listen to your heart.
Listen to
Liam.
my heart. And then also with that in mind, increase my maximum health a little bit.
Yes.
And I think I'll take a cue from your book, Naughty, and get another dash. Because that is also just helpful for avoiding damage.
And you still have quite some resolve left.
Yes. So I guess I could grab a little more. I could grab a little more health even, which is always good. I could also do more damage on my strike. Let's do
I
more.
have a suggestion.
Oh yes. Okay, go ahead.
Well, so this is a bit of a gamble, but maybe it will work out. I legit don't know.
Okay.
But there's one item in the Spear Sister Benefactor that's called... Oh geez, what is it called? It's the Lancer Boots. The one that makes you invulnerable to ranged attacks as long as you aim.
Okay.
And I tried it out, and I think it's really good against the Chimera, because especially when it starts shooting a lot of bullets, you can basically just start aiming and ignore it for a while if the bullets become too much. So
I see.
one thing you could do, you have that in your utility tree right on the right over there.
Yes.
You have a few items that help increase your chance to find a benefactor. So what you could do, if you want to risk it, is increase the amount of Spear Sister Vaults you find.
I do really
And
like
means you
that.
get to see-
Question though, are these working properly? There was
What?
there was some speculation earlier this week where we weren't quite sure how well these were working. So this is a build from Monday.
Build from Monday.
Find
This
out,
Monday.
maybe.
Yesterday. No. What day is it?
Today's
If we all
Wednesday.
love
Today's
Artea so
Wednesday.
much, we should try it out. Because if she's our favorite character,
She is our favorite
like,
character.
we need to spawn her.
Okay, then I'm going
If she's
to...
our favorite character, the item will work. And I just want to say, for the chat out there, that's fake news. Nothing ever went wrong on
That's fake
Reignbreaker.
news.
We never had a bug,
No.
and the game didn't crash last stream. It didn't happen.
Great.
This was for show. It was a show effect.
It was definitely. Ian pressed Alt4. I know it.
Okay.
So yeah, to answer your question, the items work. I fixed them on Thursday or Friday, I think.
Great.
So
No, I think that's all valid to say, in all honesty. I think that's a cool look behind the curtain. We are in the final stage of development right now, and so basically all that we're doing all day every day is fixing bugs. And I think, that's not to say we have a buggy game. This is a very complex game, and every single game has a lot of bugs. And the more complex the game, the more bugs that you're going to have. And so, things might not always work while we're testing, and then we iron it out, and it all works well. So now it's working.
Run you a nice hot bath down here.
Absolutely, and those
That's
were
what you
like,
need for those
it's
sore
difficult to
muscles.
test items that say stuff like, oh, the
If
chances
only.
increased by 20%. Like, I have to play a lot of ones to see if that's actually a 20% increase. But over time, we got it, and I think it works well now. And what do you have with you now? If I
Okay,
can...
yeah, this is a good question. So I did cheat a little bit to prepare, and I have every javelin unlocked. So I am wondering, what javelin should I bring with me? I don't want to go into the ones that we haven't seen on stream yet. So I would want to stick to a pea shooter or a railgun.
Use the Reignbreaker, the punny one, because it has the special modifier that it also attaches sticky bombs.
Ah.
So you have the Thunderful beams and you have sticky bombs. What can go wrong?
That's a good idea.
Sound good.
I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And this attaches it to both enemies that it hits, right?
Yeah.
It attaches it to all enemies that are hit by
Yes.
it. Absolutely.
Oh, so
those two
also,
get one,
then if you do a
if you do,
strike,
like-
oops, I need to
absolutely.
put better.
Yeah, so for the combat, we
Wait,
Never mind.
these aren't attaching sticky bombs. Maybe it doesn't work with the strike.
maybe it doesn't.
Oh,
Okay, I just talked a big game about how this build has no problems whatsoever, but we just found one.
It does work with
It does work
the
with that.
slam.
It's supposed to work. With the-
Okay. Well,
this one.
I'll take it anyway because I think that's pretty good.
We'll take it. It's fine.
I have a random question for both of you.
Yeah.
What do you think the health potion tastes like? Because it looks so yummy in his bright yellow color. What do you think is the taste of it?
I want to say like, have you ever had like honey wine? Not mead per se, but like honey wine that you can get at certain restaurants. I think Ethiopian restaurants. That's like one of my favorite things ever. And I always feel like I'm drinking a potion when I drink it, and it is yellow. So.
I imagine it to be like a little bit thicker, like, you know, not like very watery, but also very comforting, like a little bit like melted. Do you know? I think it's a very German thing to have like these pre-prepared pudding
Like
that you just. Yeah, no, you have to like, you have this powder and you stir it up with hot milk and then you get vanilla pudding. And I feel this could be like the consistency of a potion. But yeah, honey sounds reasonable. I think it's very sweet and honeyish.
Somebody in the oh yeah, Ollie, did you answer?
No, I don't know what it would taste like. I would jokingly say it probably tastes like Fanta, but I don't think it was invented at the time.
I thought you
but
said beer or something.
No, we can't say that it tastes like beer. It's because there's no alcohol in the game.
No,
if it
but
looks
there's
like a
0.0 beer.
yes, it tastes like alcohol-free beer. Absolutely.
And honey.
Not
And vanilla
and
pudding.
honey.
Everything.
That sounds like a great mix.
Yes.
So this is an item that I'm not super familiar with. Am I doing this correctly?
You're doing this correctly. Yes.
Okay.
So this is Dashing Assault.
Yes.
Can you check the name? Yes. Yes, it's Dashing Assault, and it gives your dash attack more attacks. So it basically, your dash attack is just a normal, just a single attack usually, but this makes a whole combo out of it. So this was also one of these things where when we were making items, we were thinking, what can we do to also make the combat more stylish and more expressive over time with more items, without the items being too like niche, right? Because if it's like, oh, if you pause right here and do like with a tight frame window, press something here and there, then people aren't gonna pick it because like who's gonna watch out for that? But with stuff like Dashing Assault, what you get is you get a slightly bigger area of effect when you start when you do your dash attack, and that additional hits afterwards. and it's very easy to just shoot a bunch of attacks in, and also dash out again afterwards, right? So it's just an easy attack to throw out there, dash in, land a bunch of hits, and get out again. And what I think you can also see is that these also cause coated to enemies. So you don't
Yes.
even need the... Yes, exactly. You don't even need the punch and paint item to inflict coated here. So yeah, it's just very good. Bunch of like quick attacks in a row, which really help with your combo meter. So you're at level 3 already by just like punching a few turrets. Because it coats them, which increases the amount of combo heat you get, and then it does a bunch of hits in a row, right? So it sort of works with itself, right?
And somebody
And yeah,
also
it's
asked
very
about
good.
why some enemies are blue.
Yes, some enemies are blue because they have a mutator applied to them, as we call it. As you progress through the runs, enemies can get stronger by getting a certain effects applied to them. And if they're blue, it means that you can't throw at them. They have like a shield, an energy shield around them, and when you try to throw your javelin at them, the javelin will just like not hit it, not do any damage, not stick in the enemy. So those targets you can throw at.
Yeah, you have
This
to
was
use
like...
close ranged attacks, basically.
Yes,
on them.
that's an easy way of putting it. Thank you. Yes, you have to do close range attacks on them, and that's like we always wanted with the mutators to sort of change the priority and the approach that you do on certain enemies, right? So it's not just stuff like, oh, they have more health and more damage. There's like these specific things on them, and you need to change your approach on how you fight them.
And it gets really wild if you have some enemies in a group that are like immune to throw, like you can't use far-ranged attacks. And then there are others in the same group that are electrified, which means you can only use these because you can't punch them, otherwise you will get hit by the electrician. So this is so fun because then you really have to navigate on which enemy you aim, because if you fail, your attack won't do anything.
Absolutely. And that's stuff like where even if you just fight a bunch of turrets, but you get those mutators on it, suddenly the fight is completely different, right? Because you have these extra things to keep in mind.
Ian,
And there's...
can you stay in the screen for a while?
Yes.
Yes, you have to look
No,
at him.
But let's finish before I say anything. Let's Ollie, let's continue,
No,
please.
I just wanted to say the mutators were built with the idea that you have to sort of skip some of your combat options on some enemies, and it means that you have to target enemies in a different way. So it was one of our goals when we made the game, to sort of as you have a group of enemies in front of you, you need to check, okay, with this one I have to do this, and with this one I have to watch out for that. And the mutators add another layer on top of that as you play the game more. And yeah. But let's look at that.
Van Tel.
Yeah, because there are some things that I feel like maybe would be interesting to mention about the character design, and I think it's easier to see if they're on screen. So for the character design, they're very stylized, right? But we tried to still make them look mature because it's like a darker-ish game. So they have closed, realistic proportions, and they're obviously inspired by different media like comics and anime. But we tried to find a very unique approach to them. If you look closely, you can see that we tried incorporating like the punk elements, but also the medieval elements in the way we created them, because we use thick, black, inky outlines, which aren't like as precise and fine and clean, like, for example, in manga, but really like the outlines are kind of like crunchy, and it gives you that feeling of ink that is written on paper. So, and we also have like these dark black spots of ink for the shadows, which should also enhance it. And for the coloring, you can see that we try to give it a more dynamic view compared to a normal comic book flat cell shading by using dynamic hue shifts. Like if you look closely, you can see there like colorful splots of color in the flats. So that makes them way more dynamic and interesting. And I think that's a really unique art style that we created there. And I'm very happy with it. Also, you can see that we incorporated like the graffiti and punk style in the background.
This like
and
pulsating green stuff.
Yes, exactly. And it also reminds you of like the highlight color of that benefactor, right? So because Ventel has like this greenish color that also is used in his items. And obviously we also try to pose them in a way that tell us stories about them. Ventel, for example, is like, he's like slouching in his chair, so you really get an like compare it to Adia, for example, who is like very stiff and straight, and he's like, I don't really give a fuck, I'm here because I enjoy myself kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So that is that, and I thought would be interesting to share.
Yeah, I'm gonna progress, but maybe you could say a little bit more about who Ventel is.
Oh yeah, well, he is my other favorite character. Actually, I like them all, but yeah, he is my other favorite. Yes. If we had romance, I would be very poly in this game for sure.
Yeah.
But he has a very flirtatious side to him if you talk with him, which is very funny because it makes really interesting interactions with Clef, who is like this. Clef herself had like this antagonistic vibe when she speaks. Like she is very sarcastic and ironic, and she doesn't take bullshit. And Ventel is like, he's so full of himself that he's not serious. And then they clash in such an interesting way because he gets flirty. I think we try to. That's why we didn't give him a shirt, you know, because we couldn't make him full nude, but I think it would fit his character. But at least he has like not a shirt on because he likes to show off a little bit. So yeah, Ventel is fun. He's a trapper and he's a hunter, but also he just likes playing games. That's to say.
Ooh, and
we
so
would have liked to make him full nude.
Yeah, well, maybe a DLC. So he had a lot of items that have to deal with traps, both in the environment and spawning new traps. And so I'm very into this one, the Trap Master, which means that all the traps in the environment deal more damage to enemies and only scratch or temporary damage to you. So this is also kind of a survivability one in addition to doing extra damage. It's also epic, so that means it's a higher quality one. So I'm gonna take that.
Yes.
It's a great pick.
I do
like.
like.
You know what my favorite build is in this whole game?
What is it?
I'm glad you asked, Ian. I'm gonna tell you. My favorite build is from the Vandal to get the spray cans. Right? These explosive spray cans. And sometimes you get an item, a skill that makes them drop as soon as you dash. So whenever you dash around, you basically leave a minefield of explosions behind you. And then you get to the trapper, and he gives you a skill which drops bear traps when dashing. So you basically leave a puddle of chaos around you because there are traps everywhere and dash cans everywhere. And then you have like the Reignmaker, and it's so chaotic that I really love it. It's just so fun. Probably not like the coolest build, for sure. I think Ollie would have been like, so many builds that are very strategic and cool, but for me it's just chaos.
No, I do like that. That's kind of similar to what I was playing with last week. What did you say, Ollie?
Your build last week was great. I just wanted to say that you give me so many props here of like, oh, you're so good at the game, you know all this stuff. So like, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. But
okay,
I saw
somebody has to be it from the three of us, and then it's probably you, right?
Sure. A build that I really like, since we're on the topic of it, is so we saw the item that applies bleed when you punch enemies.
Yeah.
And bleed has like a specific effect to it, where if you stack bleed up high enough, there's like a big explosion of damage happening on that target. So well, what you can do is you can get the permanent upgrade in the before you start your run that gives you a second combo to your punches, and that allows you to punch like really quickly at one target.
Okay.
So you can really quickly stack up bleed with that, and then you get the big damage, and then again and again and again, and then working that in with a bunch of more bleed items and a bunch more items that make your punches reach further and deal more damage. That is something really powerful, and because punches also reduce your heat for your javelin, you are pretty much always low heat. You can throw a bunch of javelins and still do great damage with the punches. So that's a build that I really like to use. Yeah,
See, I
that's
said it's technical.
yeah, it can get technical if you want to, but you can also just pick whatever items you want, and it will increase your damage output and your defense in general as well. So like a big focus that we had with a bunch of these items is that if you pick them, you don't need to think about them that much when using them, right? You have them with you, and they will passively help you make a bunch of fights easier. But there's also a bit of a trick to some of the items where you can get more out of them if you sort of want to strategize about it, if you want to strategize with them. So there's a bit of it in there for everyone, right? No matter if you're really into roguelites or if you're kind of new to the genre, that you can sort of have fun with the items in both ways. If you manage to get to Anarchy, the highest combo level, certainly because of your cool dashing assault attack and your pretty good plays, and because you have like, how many dashes do you have? 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think so. I think 3.
3 dashes. That just helps you avoid damage in some really good ways. Because at this point,
I'm at Anarchy and I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah, it just, if you get more familiar with the game, you just get into that flow eventually, where, I don't know, you see the enemies flashing up a little bit, and you dodge them correctly, and you really get into that loop of dashing, punching, javelin attacks for dishing out big amounts of damage. At least I do, and Ian does as well, and I hope when you out there play the demo that you also come into that cool combat loop feel. Yeah. I wanted to say, right. Actually, let's pick a favorite one here.
So yeah, I was wanting more Spear Sister artifacts. So slam and throw generate less heat, and aiming causes you to only take scratch damage temporarily, and you deal more damage for every current point of scratch damage. Now I have something else that works with scratch damage, right?
Yeah, you have the trapper one.
Yeah. But that's only if I go into traps, which I'm still trying not to do. But is this a precursor also to the invulnerability one, or is that separate?
They're actually 2 different ones.
Okay.
But this is also really good. I wasn't thinking of that one, but this one's really good because it converts every attack into scratch damage and not just not just ranged attacks. So one of them, it completely makes you invulnerable to ranged attacks, and this one isn't. This one just makes you take scratch damage from each attack.
Aiming.
And to just explain what scratch damage is, I think. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, should I just take this though?
Yes.
I think this is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go for it. So I just wanted to explain what scratch damage is for a second, because I don't think we did it last time. But it doesn't matter. We'll go over it again. So certain items, and as well as permanent items and vault items as well, give you the ability to only take scratch damage, which is real damage that you do take on your health bar. You can die from it, but it will slowly recover over time. So let's say you have this item with you, where if you want, you can show it off and you can aim at an enemy and get hit. Or maybe you want to avoid that, however you want to do it.
Well, no, I should do that. Let's demo it.
Let's demo it. So you're aiming at him, and he's hitting you, and you didn't take scratch damage. That's fantastic.
Maybe.
I think it's only for like a brief window when you start with
Oh,
it.
okay. That makes sense.
That makes it a bit more difficult to use, but it is really strong if you do manage to get it. So,
And somebody asked if there's a way to see previous upgrades. Yes, you can just pull up your
Yes.
inventory by pressing the select button, or whatever they're calling it these days.
yes,
The one with 2 boxes in it.
Exactly. And the Trapmaster item, this one makes you only take scratch damage when you go into traps, right? When you
Correct.
control it that way, if you want. But I think I talked enough about scratch damage. Recovers over time. We have a bunch of items that also increase some of your stats while you have scratch damage. So stuff like you deal more crits if you have a big chunk of scratch in your health bar. So you can also do a build with that. That's like a big glass cannony build that you could build. It's not my favorite thing personally, but it does work and it does get pretty strong. But of course, it's very risky.
Well, what were you hiding?
And you got 2 Spear Sister items from this
Man.
locker, so that's really good.
Okay, so
Oh, I love heavy bayonet.
heavy bayonet.
Heavy Bayonet is
Damage dealt by a bayonet is
Yes,
increased. Oh, but throw also has a chance to inflict
Oh, that's
stun.
great too.
Now-
yeah, and it's epic.
It is epic. Question
It
though,
is
I
epic.
assume this doesn't apply to the Chimera, or does it?
exactly. It doesn't apply to the Chimera. It's too big. It's too strong to be
Yeah.
stunned by stuff like that. So heavy Bayonet is a pretty good option.
I think I'll go
You
there.
also don't. Yeah, you can definitely go with it.
And I just
Can't
wanted
go
to show
over.
off scratch damage. Look, now you can see it because I went
Yeah.
into the trap, and it's slowly replenishing.
It slowly regenerates the damage that you normally would have fully taken from it. Yeah, and that's also, we just briefly saw it a second there. Certain lockers can actually drop multiple items for you, and you can. So this really helps you like make you much stronger in like a quick succession, and just like build out your build, I guess, way more. And usually you get these extra items from also from the permanent item that we brought along. So maybe you wouldn't have
Yes.
gotten 2 Spear Sister items.
Yeah,
And that
that's a
should
good
really help
point.
us. I think we're going to the duo boss fight.
Yeah, we are. Let's see how
You
we
sound
do.
excited.
Oh,
That's what we do.
yeah. Okay.
You
So,
bet them before you will do it again.
yeah. So I'm just thinking of like, okay, I can go into the traps if I need to, and I still have this dashing assault. Okay, so let's see how we do with these items.
Absolutely. I think you'll do fine. I think you're already much stronger now than you were last round.
You think?
Like a lot of your. I think so. I'm just gonna say
Let's be
that that's
positive.
the case.
Yeah.
Let's be positive about it. Yeah, especially because you got the 2 items at one point from one locker.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, I do really like having these items that increase the frequency by which you see certain loyalists. 'Cause, yeah, nice to reduce.
If they work, they work.
Yeah, but it feels nice to sort of know that you can have a better chance at working towards a certain build, especially if you have something in mind and you've brought along the right
Yeah.
javelin for that.
Oh yeah, and that really that makes it so difficult for me to say what my favorite build is, or like my favorite combinations of vault items, because so much of it depends on the permanent upgrades and the javelins I take with me into the Bastion, right? Because certain vault items work better with certain types of javelins. For example, we have the Trapper, or Trapper, right? Trap Master, the big guy without the shirt that we saw a second ago.
Yes.
So he has a lot of items that inflict a status effect called Root, which locks enemies in place. That does work on the Chimera and it's really good. So maybe that's something we can find. And he does a lot of stuff with Root and stuff like, if you root an enemy, then they take extra damage and stuff like that is also in the benefactor. And there are certain javelins that also just automatically make you root enemies as long as you attack them with it. So that's of course a really good synergy, just to give one example of something that can work together. And then, of course, there's other stuff too. Now, nice, good job.
Yay.
That was a little stressful. I definitely
That got
wasn't trying to
shot
die
there
right
in the
there.
end.
But okay. Thank you, chat.
But
Dual
you
bosses.
managed to do it. Yeah, the dual bosses are really tough. But you did it. You got some health back, and I think we're gonna do the second half of this
power.
one beautifully.
It's so fun pushing enemies and traps. I live for that feeling.
Me too. Yeah, that's why I'm always trying to take an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think it was really interesting seeing how traps evolved over the course of development. Like, I think it seemed like it was always tricky to balance how powerful they should be and what kinds of traps we had in the game. Do you remember any interesting things about designing the traps?
Absolutely. Designing the traps was way more challenging and involved than I expected, to be honest. But like in a good way, it was really fun to work on them. I do have to say I don't wanna steal any valor here. I did work on the traps and I brought my ideas into it with it, but a lot of the trap design work was on one of our other game designers, Marco and Philip, who I'm just gonna shout them out here because they also did a lot of work on them. Of course, like everyone on the design department did, but they worked a lot on it doing it. And I do want to talk a bit about the spike traps that we see here and in a lot of other rooms. And it's a lot of fun to just throw enemies into them because they really went through a lot of iterations. I'll just mention a few here. So as you can see, most of the traps are connected to these boxes on the ground, or these little switches where you can put your javelin in and change the state that they're in. And there we actually asked ourselves for a long time, like sort of watching the stream is very intense right now.
I
But
know.
we asked ourselves, okay, what happens when you put the javelin in with the spike traps? And for a while it was you put the javelin in and then the spikes come out. And we worked with that for a while. It felt like something that makes sense. But then over time we realized it's kind of like you want to be in the fight more. You want to be sort of more active. You don't want to go away from the enemies, put the javelin in, and then make the spikes go up once. It just, even if you do hit enemies with it, it doesn't feel as good as it could feel. It puts you out of the flow a bit. So we worked around with it, and we eventually landed on a version that we have right now, where you can turn them on and off. And the on state is just that the spikes come out as soon as enemies or you walk over it. And suddenly it was a lot more fun to actually use the traps. And there was, sorry if I'm like going too much into talking about the spike traps now, but there was a in-between state that I also really pushed for, but at the end I just had to say that it didn't feel right, was that if you walk over them, the spikes come out a bit, and then they shoot out. So you always have like anticipation for it. And because that's such a like common design idea in action games, when an attack comes, you can tell it's coming, so you have a chance to react, right? That's always the idea. But what it led to with the spike traps was that enemies and you could just walk over it. Because you walk over it and the spikes come out a little, don't do damage, and then you move away and then the spikes come out. And I was like, well that's unsatisfying. You try to push enemies in, they shoot over them, and then the spikes come out afterwards. It just didn't feel right. So eventually we took out that anticipation, and now the spikes just shoot up as soon as you step on them. And you can still tell that they're gonna hurt you because, well, they're glowing and the spikes are like already looming a bit when you activate them. So I think after a lot of iterations we landed on something cool there, and everyone is fun pushing enemies into traps. Also, traps are super strong, as you can probably tell. If you push an enemy in, you take a ton of damage. The explosive canister that we have there is also like tons of damage.
Yes, I love the explosive canister.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
okay. Just
there
one
you
with
go.
that. Yeah.
Tons of damage. It's super good. But of course the challenge is you have to prepare the trap, you have to get the enemy to the trap, you have to trigger the trap. So you get a lot of damage, but you do have to know how to use them, and you do have to sort of leave that slightly passive, I'm just gonna punch enemies style of combat, and have to actually think about your environments more. And because we really wanted to reward thinking about the environments, doing smart stuff and smart combinations and stuff, we decided, hey, those deal a ton of damage, and if you can pull it off, that's cool. You did it. And I think, yeah, I hope you have fun with the traps in the demo and in the final game. Because the demo doesn't have all the traps. There's a few more stylish and special ones later in the game. This is something I forgot to mention when you asked me before how the levels change over time, actually. So the traps also become like stronger and more involved with each one. So you're not overwhelmed at the beginning, and then you have like these bigger ones that like shoot rockets everywhere and stuff like that. Those all come later, and forward to them when you do see them. And those fights are getting really tough. I can tell you're doing a time limit challenge, a time fight there.
I just want more stuff, you know?
I get that you want more stuff, and that's a great idea. But you could, if it doesn't work out, you can of course just go to the next room and sort of save your health. But you're doing pretty good. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm
nice,
trying to
nice.
believe in myself. Yeah, but that's the interesting choice, right? Is like you can always go, well, not always. Once you've beaten some certain number of encounters, you can go to the next room, or you can stay and take a bit of a risk and get more items, which is sort of going to be my strategy.
And this time it paid off. And also those, as you can see, you have the power pouch right here. The balls that have an extra challenge to them. So stuff like here where you have to beat them in a certain amount of time, they drop more stuff, right? So it's an extra risk, but it might help you even more in the long run. So we're leveling up blood for blood here, and then we get one of these. We can get a spray can. We can punch. Punches reduce more heat.
So
or we can drop a spray can when we get hit.
I mean, I'm trying not to get hit, but it also no longer resets your combo level, which is pretty good.
That's very strong. And this really means, like, except for if you don't attack for a while, nothing resets your combo meter. Because usually how it works is, to increase your combo meter, don't get hit, punch a lot of enemies. Because if you do get hit, it resets, and if it just slowly goes down. You picked it. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm wanting that right now, not to reset my combo level. And just need to get
it's really good.
Get used to this dashing assault here. I think I'm slowly getting the hang of it. Ooh, another thing.
Using it really well.
Okay, well
We can actually increase it.
Yeah, let's increase. Why not?
Yeah, that's really good. And I also you managed to get through that time attack without taking any damage, and this was actually something very important to us, is that when you're playing the game and when you focus between all the chaos that's going on, that everything is beatable without taking a hit. If you always make the right call, full focus, if you have experience with the enemies, then you can really do it. Of course, Ian's streaming right now, and he's also hosting this whole thing, so of course it's a bit more difficult.
Yes,
but it is possible.
Right. That's why I'm not doing better.
But it is possible, and I can attest to it because I did do it at one point. It's possible to do a whole run without getting any hit.
Dang. Okay.
You can do it. And this is a little... Maybe if you played the demo, you will have noticed it already. Maybe I've already mentioned it. Have I? Anyway, I'll repeat myself here. One health.
But it's scratch damage because I was aiming. I
but
think.
You would have still died from it. Yeah. You aimed and then you took. Hey, there. We finally saw how the item worked.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say is when an enemy doesn't attack, they always have this purple glow that's coming from them that you can actually see through walls and stuff. Actually, so whenever an enemy attacks, you can always see or watch out for this little visual cue, and then you can start dashing. And especially like Ian has 3 dashes right now, so as soon as you see anything purple glowing on screen coming from an enemy, just like mash that button and you'll be fine. And showing off how you don't have to get hit if you watch out for anything. Here's a don't get hit challenge. And I think you're doing well here.
Yeah, I'm happy because I was just sort of wandering around looking for a statue and I managed to find one.
I was so happy for you.
Thank you.
Grabbed it.
Yeah, I think we're really making a comeback here. I think this is going great.
Yeah, I could use a couple more statues because I have so much max health, but I still only at 61. So let's see. Ooh! While
That's answer
aiming,
boots.
gain invincibility to ranged attacks. I'm absolutely taking this. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't see it, but no bullets can hit you. You are just too cool at that point.
Too cool. Too cool
Too
for
cool for
school.
that.
Okay.
Too cool.
I'll take another Vandal one because I like these guys. Ooh, and this has 2 of these. So let's
Yes,
see.
these are really good. And we have a bunch of enemies like running around here that are actually not from a combat encounter, right?
Yeah.
And you will see those like sort of scattered around a room to sort of breathe in some more life into the rooms.
Yeah, that was sort of a more recent addition, right? Adding
Yes.
these free roaming enemies. And I think that really worked well to just make it seem more alive and give more variety to runs. I mean, is that sort of why you decided to add that?
Yeah, so it has a bunch of reasons, and I think it's just a win in every regard. So one big reason is this helps you navigate the rooms, because if you see enemies somewhere, it means you probably haven't been there. So that's very helpful. Then of course it helps sort of spice up the combat a bit, but we did make those fights intentionally to be a bit more chill, a bit more small. You won't see any huge enemies on those. You'll mostly see small turrets, maybe a Belgrun, stuff that you can really just deal with after a while. There's sort of there to also just make the Bastion feel a bit more alive over time. But yeah, for a long time we didn't have them, and I think since we have them, the feedback has just been more positive overall. So yeah, the change was really great. Also, yeah, I'm just gonna say it. I know I don't have to, but it wasn't my idea to have them. So I don't want to take. I don't want to. What did you say? Like false laurels. I don't want to steal anyone.
Steel Valor, yeah.
Steal Valor is a bit, but yeah. I don't want to steal Valor here, but I did of course work on them. I just didn't have. Cool thing that the design department came up with, and I'm part of the design department, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, I think that's
you
good
got to try it.
context, which is like you are just one designer, but there's actually a number of designers. There's a number of artists.
Absolutely.
Like we have departments, and you are just one member from the art department and one member from the design department. But yeah, you're all working on this game regularly. Okay, so now.
Fast delivery is the one which I like
Fast
to
delivery.
postcard.
I do.
Fast delivery is the one.
Yeah, I mean, I have all these dashes, so that's seems
You
pretty
do.
good. So I can do
That
one
does
of my.
work really well.
Yeah, I mean that's sick. I love that.
And these also have like a little extra thing to them. It's mentioned in the description that I'm sure not everyone is like doing all the time, which is if you or an enemy punches or hits the spray can as it's flying to an enemy, it will actually do more damage. And you can
Really?
see that. Yeah.
Oh my
You can
I
see
didn't
that
know
on
that
little-
either.
It's in the description, guys.
Well, we don't read, obviously.
That's fine. But yeah, if you hit it, it deals a bit more damage, and it's not something like you can go for it intentionally if you want, but it's really just easy to dash around and have a bunch of cans fly at someone, and then start punching them as you're dashing towards them, and then it does a bit more damage without really thinking about it too much. You can see that you're doing more damage when there's a certain, like a small ring in the explosion. Looks slightly different, but it's just a little confirmation that it did do the big explosion.
So
And you also showed off that your aiming didn't hit you. I saw that, and that was very... Because you aimed at some point and bullets went through.
Oh, yeah. I'm also trying to get used to the new item that I got, which is Dashing Assault, which means that I can now dash while Clef is throwing her javelin, as opposed to being locked into the throwing animation, which is super great for mobility, and it also decreases heat when I dash. So now I'm thinking my strategy for the Chimera, and I guess other combat encounters, will be that I can throw and then dash across, drop a bunch of these spray cans, and then throw again, because I will, as you can see, just by dashing, my heat goes down pretty quickly. And if I need to, I can do some other punching, like my dashing, or whatever this is called. I'm just exploding
Dash
everywhere.
attack.
Yeah, because
Yeah, it's,
someone in the chat asked if you actually bet the boss yet, but you are working on it.
I'm almost there, I think. Right?
Yes. We're
So,
getting close.
We're getting close to the
And
moment of truth.
hopefully good. Also, like, your health is low, but you still have a resurrection up your sleeve.
I have 2 resurrections, right?
Oh, true.
Because I also
Yeah.
got the item. And do
good.
those stack?
They should.
Okay.
They should.
Well,
If they don't, it's a bug. We'll
okay.
see. Maybe we don't
Gotcha.
even have to see. Maybe you'll just beat it without taking a scratch.
That's the plan. Oh, except now, like,
Also,
yeah, these mutators throw a wrench in my plans because I can't throw at them. Ah!
yeah,
Ah!
that does make it more difficult, but you're doing okay. It's going well.
There's so many explosions.
But it's going great. It's going great. Also, the item that lets you dash when throwing has another benefit to it, which is every item that like adds a projectile to your dashes also works on that. So you'll notice if you throw, you drop another spray can. So those
Whoa.
also synergize.
Okay.
And you can do some very nutty stuff with that. Not nutty.
I was like,
So, I only noticed when I said it. It wasn't intentional. But what I wanted to say is that we tried to put an effort in to make sure that even if you get items from different groups, different loyalists, that they can work together. So you do have certain item paths where, like we saw in the previous one, you have an item that does bleed to enemies, and then an item that reduces the damage that bleeding enemies do and stuff like that. That's what you have on one loyalist. But you also have stuff like that. That's not, of course, it's not mentioned anywhere, but it is designed like that with a purpose. That one benefit. Sorry, that's a dev term. One loyalist has spray cans that they drop each time you dash, and one loyalist lets you dash more, or lets you dash doing a certain attack, and then those work together. Yeah. Long story short, things work together. It's good.
Okay, you guys.
final choices.
I'm here. I want that. I just like having this base increase to throw speed is also really good.
All right. Do you want like a coaching before, like take a second?
A TED talk.
A
Hold
TED
your
talk.
breaths. I need to wipe the sweat
Alright.
off of my hands.
Wipe the sweat off. Take a breath. Remember what you saw last time. Lots of attacks. The one dashing at you. If you see it dashing at you, then just never forget your dash button. It's really good. Especially now with all your upgrades that you have.
Yeah.
There you go. Everything's exploding now. And that should really help you here.
Yeah, I
Oh,
can see
yeah.
these spray
No, you
cans are
don't.
doing a lot of work for me.
This spray can magic.
Absolutely.
It's such a good build for angsty players like me.
Yeah, like me.
Maybe. But you're also like, in a way, you're also like offensive with it, right?
Yes.
Because
It's
you're dashing around a
interesting
lot.
Contrast.
Yeah,
I feel like the
No.
power fantasy comes through with this one.
absolutely. Because it has like a certain a rebel feeling, a vandalism feeling to just code your giant enemies in spray paint and see how they like it. There you go. I think you might be able to beat this thing without actually going to the shotgun, the bullet shotgun difficult phase.
Because I'll beat it quickly enough.
Because you beat it quick enough. You can do that. If your build is good and if that's your playstyle, yeah, you might actually do it.
We got an interesting question in chat. Someone asked if bleed is the right word, if enemies actually are mechanical. But I feel like they're bleeding motor oil. That's fine.
Yes!
You are starting to frustrate me, Clefania.
Congrats.
I will not tolerate this insubordination.
Okay.
Guardian down. I don't know how long it
GG's, Ian.
but I shall not
GG's.
stop
You did
till I
it. You
find
became the Reignbreaker.
Well, not yet.
Not
yet.
Rain's not broken.
Listen
Not yet.
carefully, child.
Okay, I'm gonna skip through this because okay.
And it falls down and it explodes.
So satisfying.
Oh, it's
But
smoking?
It's smoking and it's just like laying there. Not like the other ones that disappeared. I wonder what that means.
Oh damn, I hope
I wonder.
it doesn't recover from all this.
That would be crazy if it recovered and had like...
And I have to fight it every
second
time?
phase.
Oh my god. And it had
You
a
have to fight
second
it every
phase.
time.
Oh my
And
god.
It would be the worst if that thing gets even stronger.
So that was the end of a run, and we touched on this a little bit last time, but I think it's worth mentioning again exactly what the structure of this game is, because it's not the most typical roguelike structure. So could you explain that a little bit?
In that might
Sure. So the game is structured into those runs that you do over a campaign. And each time that you beat the last boss of a run, you return to the lobby, you get a new equipment slot, you get a bunch of more javelins, and next time you go into the Bastion, you will have to fight more bosses. The one will be longer, the one will be more difficult, there will be new mutators, new traps, new enemies that you will face, and a certain story will sort of unfold as you do those runs. So it is a roguelike, and you do have to try again and again if you die, but if there are certain checkpoints in the game, right? As soon as you finish a run, that one is always beaten, and you've made a bit of permanent progress in your journey to break the rain.
And one of the ones that you do get permanently is now I have another upgrade slot. So
Yes.
at the beginning of this run, I was trying to choose which one do I want to keep, which one do I want to give away. But now I have a whole extra slot. So I don't know if I want to choose right now, or probably I'll choose at the beginning of next stream. But I did just unlock one that's very cool. Kill Time, the final one of this tree, which inflicts slow on all enemies after performing an execution. Duration of all slow effects is increased. So this is like a bullet time kind of thing, right?
Yes. So yeah, this is one of the bullet time effects in the game. The other one, you'll see. But this one's of course really good. Every single execution slowing down a bunch of enemies around you, and super helpful if things get too chaotic. Yeah, great item.
Okay,
Definitely put it at the bottom there,
I'm
so you don't pick it immediately.
Yes. But I don't think I've ever really played around with that personally, so that will be a good one to maybe choose next time. But we'll see. I'm really pleased with myself that I actually managed to defeat the Chimera today. So thank you. But that was really helpful. Thanks for your advice and for playing along with me today. I had a lot of fun, and I look forward to the next time. And just as a preview, next week we're going to focus a lot more on the art style. So obviously we had Nadi here today. We were talking about art, but we want to dive a little deeper, maybe show off some concepts and early, behind the scenes concept art, making of sorts of diagrams. So just stay tuned. We'll put something together that's fun and exclusive with one of our artists. So thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you, Nadi. Thank you, Ollie, for helping me out. and we'll see you next week.
Also, we have the release date now.
Oh yes, oh thank you,
Exactly.
thank you, Naughty. Yes,
When
what
is
was that
that?
release date again?
It's the 18th of March.
Yes, 18th of March.
And if you can't wait, you can again play the demo now on our Steam page and wishlist the game while you're there. Once again, we are Studio Fizbin. See you next week. Thanks so much. Bye.